Syndit Entertainment asks, how do I know if my thermostat is bad or if it's my cooling temp sensor? It's running hot. I'm glad you asked. Let's do this. So yeah, in some of my recent videos, I talk about thermostat replacement, identifying, but I didn't do a very good job of identifying a bad thermostat. So let me cover a few of the things you can look for in how to identify a bad thermostat. Let's run outside here to my daily driver, my 94 YJ. Now, there's a few things we can be looking for with a bad thermostat. Some symptoms you might see: your engine might be running hot, your temperature gauge is just up higher than it should be, or it's just never gets warm. Your engine's always running cold, your heater's always blowing cold air. Those are a few of the symptoms you might see from the cab, but looking under the engine, there's a few things we can do to diagnose what the issue is. Now, first off, and the easiest honestly, we're gonna start the engine up, and gotta take our gloves off, and we're just gonna feel the hoses. We're gonna feel the hose going to the heater core and the hose going to the radiator. Obviously, be careful, your fan is running there. There's a belt there. Don't get your tie or whatever you're wearing caught in there. But you're gonna just kind of keep your hands on these hoses until your engine warms up. What you wanna feel this heater core get hot first before this starts to heat up, before the hose to your radiator starts to heat up. If your radiator hose and heater core hose are heating up at the same rate, that tells me that your thermostat is in the open position. It's stuck open, sending coolant through this line and this line at the same time. That's not what you want. You want your thermostat to stay shut, only sending coolant through the heater core hose until your engine gets up to operating temperature. Then your thermostat opens up. Got a really cool video on this. This side of the engine gets hot. Your thermostat opens up to allow coolant to flow into the radiator. So that's one of the easiest ways. Just start your engine up, let it warm up, keeping track of how warm these hoses are. Now, another thing we can check, obviously before your engine is hot, you don't want to open this when your engine's hot. Take your radiator cap off. So I need some coolant. This is kind of funny and a good reminder. Check your fluid level. That could be why you're running hot. If your fluid level's low, your engine's not going to cool properly. I'm going to top this off. I've got a real slow leak on this. The bottom hose where it attaches to the bottom of the radiator. I've got a real slow leak going on there that I got to repair. That'll be cool, another video. So let me just top this off real quick. And upon further investigation, I think it's actually where that my leak is coming from, where that bottom radiator hose attaches to the return on the water pump. So I'm going to try just tightening that hose clamp. Maybe that'll buy me a little time before I have to replace that hose. Alright, there we go. Got that hose clamp tightened up. Maybe that'll buy me some time. So yeah, the other trick on identifying if your thermostat is bad, I'm not sure if it's going to work with mine right now because I might have some air in my system, being that, well, obviously I have some air in my system, being that I have this leak going on. But the concept is still the same. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So obviously with the engine cool, we went ahead and took the radiator cap off. Now we're gonna start the engine up. We're gonna watch the radiator fill area here, and we should not see any fluid moving yet until that thermostat opens up. Then once our engine warms up, you should start to see coolant flow through this area. That tells you that your thermostat is staying closed when the engine is cold, but when it warms up, fluid starts flowing properly. So let's look at the Project 92 YJ real quick at that the thermostat just to see how it operates. So here's the thermostat housing on the Project 92 YJ. Thermostat housing comes off, and underneath there should have been our thermostat. And you can see here where the thermostat's in place, there's this extra little hole. Stay in there. There's this extra hole right here, and this is where the coolant comes out so it can go to the heater core. It actually lines up with this part of the thermostat housing right here. And on the side of our thermostat housing right here, we have this temperature sensor, but this is actually just goes to the emissions control, and it's not the sensor that actually tells you your temperature in the gauge of your Jeep. The thermostat sending unit for your temperature gauge is actually back here on the back of your engine block on the driver's side. Mine's unplugged right now, but right here. This is the temperature sending unit for your gauge inside your vehicle. And a new temperature sending unit, they're like 10-15 bucks. I'll include a link in the description below of where you can find it on Amazon. So there you go, there's some tips on how to check to make sure your thermostat is opening and closing properly, or if your issue is with your sending unit going actually to your gauge. I appreciate the question. If you have questions, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I try to respond to most all questions. Sometimes it takes me a few days, but thanks for watching. Have a good day. So yeah, So we're gonna go ahead and start the engine up, and we're gonna watch right here for, I don't know. So we're gonna wait for cars to go by. So there you go, some tips on how to check to see if your thermostat is opening and closing, right?